The clock struck 2:11 a.m. Moonlight filtered gently through the large half-draped windows of the mansion, casting a silver glow across the marble floors. The house was silent save for the faint ticking of the ornate grandfather clock in the hallway. The air was still, almost too still, like the world was holding its breath. Mina stood by the window, arms crossed over her chest, silk nightgown falling loose around her figure. Her dark hair, usually pinned perfectly, now flowed over her shoulders in quiet disarray. She didn't blink as she stared out into the shadows of the garden below. But her thoughts weren't in the garden. They were with you, her daughter, her only child, her reasons for waking up every day and trying to keep her life stitched together even as the seams frayed in secrets. Her eyes glistened as they trailed towards the window of your room just across the hall. Your light had gone out hours ago. You were probably cold under the blanket, hugging your pillow like you always did. When you were stressed, she smiled faintly at the memory. And then her expression hardened. Her hands clenched to the windowsill. I'm sorry, baby. I should have said something earlier, she whispered, her voice trembling. I thought I could protect you by staying silent. I thought maybe he would change, maybe he would stop. Her throat tightened painfully, but I was wrong. Tears pooled in her eyes, slipping down her cheeks in delicate streams. She didn't wipe them away. Behind her, the mansion stood cold and quiet, but she could feel him, Jungkook. Even when he wasn't in the room, his presence lingered like a shadow pressed into the walls. She could feel his control, how it had slowly crept into every inch of the house, into every corner of her life, of your life. It wasn't love, not anymore. Maybe it never was. What he felt for you, it wasn't fatherly care. It wasn't an affection. It was an obsession. And it had grown into something dangerous, something terrifying. Her breathing hitched as memories rushed in. The way he touched your hair when you weren't looking, how his eyes darkened when you laughed at another man's joke, how his tone turned soft and low when he called you darling. Not the way a father should, but like a man claiming something that wasn't his to claim. You're not his, Mina whispered fiercely to herself, wiping her tears away with the back of her hand. You are mine, my daughter, my light, and I will protect you, even if it means. Her voice cracked, even if it meant time for it. She closed her eyes tightly and her fists trembled at her sides. Her heart throbbed painfully in her chest, a silent war between fear and courage. Tomorrow. Tomorrow she will tell you everything, every secret, every lie, every truth that she is buried to keep you safe. No more pretending, no more silence. You had the right to know who he really was, what he was, what he was capable of, how long he had been watching you, loving you in ways no stepfather ever could. She turned slowly from the window, exhaling shakily. Determination now acted into the lines of her face. I'll tell her tomorrow, she whispered aloud to herself as if the words would give her strength. No matter what he does, she deserves to know the truth, and if I have to stand between him and her, she paused, her eyes narrowed in the shadow. Then I'll do it, without hesitation. From the hallway, the creak of a floorboard made her stiffen. Her body froze, but it passed, just the house settling. She let out a slow breath and moved towards her bed, never looking away from the picture frame on her nightstand, your photo, smiling beside her from your graduation day. Forgive me, she whispered, kissing the photo gently before going back to the window, for not protecting you sooner. Tomorrow would come, and with it, the storm. The moonlight cast a soft halo around Mina's figure as she stood silently by the window, lost in her thoughts. Her eyes had long dried, but her heart still trembled beneath the surface. The silence of the night wrapped around her like a cold, invisible blanket, and even the gentle rustle of trees outside did little to ease the heaviness in her chest. She had been standing there for nearly an hour, trying to gather strength to tell you everything, strength to finally be the mother you deserve. But the movement was interrupted by the soft creak of the floor behind her, and before she could turn, she felt a pair of warm arms gently wrap around her waist from behind. Her heart jolted, but then a smile bloomed. "Umma, come," your soft, sleepy voice, followed by the delicate press of your lip on her cheek. Mina's breath caught in her throat. "Why, and sweetheart?" she stammered gently, turning slightly to see her sleepy eyes peeking from behind her shoulder. "I thought you were asleep, baby." You snuggled into her neck with a sleepy hum. "I was, but I woke up and didn't see you beside me. I got scared." Mina's heart shattered at those words. "Oh, darling, I didn't mean to worry you," she whispered, reaching up to brush your hair back from your face. "You always used to follow me around as a little girl. Even now, you still do it." You pouted gently, rocking her from behind. "Because I love you, and you are not allowed to disappear at night and look sad at the window. That's illegal." Mina let out a breathy laugh, her eyes stinging again. "Illegal, huh?" "Very." You confirmed with a sleepy nod, your arms tightening slightly. "Oh, Ma, are you okay?" Mina hesitated. She stared out at the moon again. Her heart ached. This was the part where she should tell you, where she should be honest and courageous and do what she had promised herself just minutes ago. But instead, she turned around slowly in your arms and cupped your cheeks, kissing your forehead softly. Okay, baby, just thinking." You frowned, watching her too closely for comfort. She smiled weakly to mask the storm inside her, and then, as if the weight of her own fear couldn't be held back anymore, she asked the question that had been clawing at her chest for weeks now. "Wyan," her voice was soft, broken. "Can I ask you something?" You tilted your head innocently. "Of course." Mina hesitated, then whispered, "What would you do if one day I left you?" The room went still. Your expression froze, and the innocence on your face crumbled into fear within seconds. "What?" you whispered, blinking at her like you didn't hear right. "It's just a thought," she quickly added, trying to smile. "Just a silly, what if that's all?" "Why would you even think that?" You cut her off, stepping back and looking at her with a sudden panic. "Are you sick? Are you hiding something?" "Oh, Ma, what do you mean by leave me? Where would you go? Why would you ever—" But you didn't finish. You threw your arms around her and held her tightly, burying your face in her shoulder. "Don't say that. I'll die without you, Ma. You and Father are my only family." You whispered, voice cracking. "Please don't ever talk like that again." Mina's entire body trembled under your hold. Your love, your innocence, your complete and utter trust, it tore her apart inside. She wrapped her arms around you and held you so tightly it almost hurt. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered into your ear. "I didn't mean to scare you. I was just thinking. Sometimes my mind plays tricks, but I swear I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." You hiccuped softly, still hugging her like she might vanish if you let go. "Don't even joke about it, please." She nodded against you, swallowing her tears. "I promise." There was a long silence after that. The two of you just stood there in the soft glow of the moonlight, two silhouettes locked in an embrace, too scared to break. Eventually, you looked up at her with puffy eyes and mumbled, "Next time you wanna look all sad and poetic at the window, at least take me with you." Mina let out a watery laugh, wiping your tears gently. "Deal. But only if you let me hold your hand." You grinned. "Forever?" And though Mina smiled deep inside her heart, whispered one final vow, "I'll protect you, my angel, even if it cost me everything." The door clicked softly behind you as you left the room, your footsteps fading down the hallway. Mina stood in the same spot, the weight of your embrace still lingering on her even though you were no longer there. She stared blankly at the floor, her heart a tangled mess of emotions. Her body felt heavier than ever before, and the burden of what she knew she had to do pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. She looked out the window, her eyes tracing the night sky as a storm of thoughts raged inside her mind. She loved you so much. She had seen you grow, seen the bond between you and Jungkook from so innocent at first. But now, with every passing day, she had watched something darker consume him. His obsession was undeniable, a silent force that had taken root over the years. It wasn't until recently that Mina had fully understood the depth of what had been happening right under her nose. It started with the small things, his protective behavior, the possessive glances, the way he made sure you were always near him but never too far. At first, Mina thought it was just him being an overprotective stepfather wanting to care for you. But as the months turned into years, the sign grew clear. Jungkook didn't just care for you, he needed you, and Mina knew that the lines between fatherly love and obsession had blurred. There was no going back now. Mina bit her lip, trying to stifle the wave of sorrow rising in her chest. She wanted to protect you more than anything in this world, but every time she thought she had a plan, the fear of Jungkook's wrath crept in. If it come to it, would he be willing to sacrifice everything, even her, to keep you by his side? Her hands trembled at the thought. What I am going to do, she whispered to herself. The silence in the room seemed to swallow her whole. She was alone now in a way she had never been before. She knew what Jungkook was capable of, and it terrified her. He would stop at nothing to keep you close, and Mina had a gut-wrenching feeling that it would only get worse from here. She had seen him snap in small bursts before, when anyone so much as looked at you for too long, when you smiled at someone else, when someone dared to get too close to you. Jungkook's temper was frightening, but his love for you, obsession rather, was even more so. Mina clenched her fist, her nails digging into her palms, as she stared at the moonlight sky. I'll protect you, Ryan, even if it means sacrificing everything. The words were a vow, spoken with a fierce determination that burned deep within her heart. She couldn't let you fall into Jungkook's grasp, not like this. Not when he was so consumed by his need for you that he was willing to erase anything or anyone that stood in his way. Mina's breath caught as a wave of grief swept over her, and her mind began to race, planning what to do next. She knew what she had to do. She couldn't sit by and wait for something to happen for Jungkook's obsession to fully consume him. She had to act now, tomorrow. She whispered to herself, a promise that made her chest tighten with fear. Tomorrow I will tell her everything. She deserves to know the truth. She needs to understand what's happening to her, and I will protect her from this madness, no matter what it takes. But even as she spoke the words, Mina knew that the task ahead wouldn't be easy. Jungkook was dangerous when he was threatened, and Mina had already seen his wrath firsthand. What would he do if he found out she was planning to expose him? Would he kill her to keep his grip on you? The thought made her stomach churn with dread. I'll protect you, no matter the cost, Mina promised herself, again louder this time with more resolve. Even if it cost me my life, she was ready to take that risk. She would never let Jungkook's obsession destroy everything. She loved you too much to let that happen. And with that thought, a quiet tear fell from her eye, though she wiped it away quickly as though to hide it from the world. But no one would stop her. Not Jungkook, not anyone. Tomorrow would be the day she would finally reveal everything, the truth about Jungkook's obsession, and she would do whatever it took to keep you safe, even if she had to stand against her own husband.